Welcome! You're back to the Mind of OPEX, and it's another beautiful day. I just started with a company recently. I wanted to make a video relatively soon discussing about this new company and the pros and cons and such on this type of field, but I'm going to get into the trucking thing probably in a later video to try to at least put in my work on this job to make sure it's 100% as awesome as I think it is compared to company driving, even owner-operator type driving. And yeah, I'll talk about that at another time. This video is discussing about, in my opinion, loyalty and obedience. There's a lot of people who are obedient, but there's not a lot of people that understand why they are obedient to certain factions. Like, the biggest one in my eyes would be like, if you're an American, you pledge allegiance to a flag. What the hell? You pledge allegiance to a flag. Jeez, if that's not an eye-opener of any sort, I don't know what is. Got my extra large coffee, which I'm definitely going to need today. So, discussing about obedience. When you're obedient and you're pledging allegiance to a flag, something that's not even conscious. So, look at it like this. If you are a conscious being, do you want to pledge allegiance to something that is also conscious? Probably not as much. Like, in terms of, like, you don't want to, right? So if there's a king, right, or let's say a mafia leader, it would make more relevance. It would be more relevant to talk about the mafia. The head of the mafia comes in, has all types of power and control, and offers you... Sorry, that seatbelt gets annoying on my neck. The mafia is going to offer you protection. It's going to lay down some laws, some boundaries, some stuff, right, that you have to abide to. And if you don't, then they're going to break your legs or kidnap your kid. I don't know. But the reason why they're doing it is because they want your obedience. They want your money. They want you. They want value or resources from you. And then you have to basically pledge allegiance to the mafia. Don't double cross them. You know, always pay whatever rent that you have to pay or whatever tax you have to pay to the mafia. Now, the same goes when you are trying to pledge allegiance to something that's inanimate. Now, you already know that pledging allegiance to something like that is kind of shitty. It's not very valuable for you. If you were an adult and taking care of your family, you would want to protect and take care of your family the best way possible, and you wouldn't want the mafia to be the overriding overlord of your family. You want to be, especially as a man, you want to be overriding and be the overlord of your family, making sure that everyone's safe. You get a gun, you teach your kids the right things in life, to stay away from, creepy guys at the park. I don't know, right? Offering you candy and stuff. You teach them stuff, and you try to protect them and make sure that they're best off. As an adult, you want to do that with your children. But you don't want to pledge allegiance to the mafia to take care of the shit for you, right? Especially when they're not going to be around all the time, and they really don't have your best interest at heart. They just want to steal your money and pretend to give you some sort of protection, right? Who are they protecting you from? Probably them. That's all it is. Pay up, right? Same goes for the government. Government is a mafia. Watch my videos. If you're new to my channel, a lot of people are new to my channel. Probably came from the trucking videos. Well, that's not generally what my channel's all about. Yes, I am going to bring out trucking videos, and I definitely want to incorporate the trucking community into my philosophy. But that's what it is. This channel's based on philosophy. It's based on happiness, longevity, etc. Getting you to think, higher consciousness shit. So, when your government wants to tax you to just live, exist, in the boundaries of their monopoly on force, well, what happens? You obey, or you get thrown into a box, and if you don't want to be thrown in a box and you resist, you can get killed, at least beaten, until you're actually thrown into a box, right? So if you defend yourself against this tyrant called government, which is a mafia, well, what happens? Not good things happen. Same thing, cartels in Mexico, right? They don't just have to deal with the government, they have to deal with the cartels and the mafia and whatever, right? They have to deal with these people too. So our government has taken place of the mafia in our country, in the United States of America. Well, the United States, the government. So when you're pledging allegiance to a flag that represents a country, well, yeah, it sounds inanimate, right? So it's inanimate. It's not an object of consciousness. It's an object that's just material, right? And that represents the government. The government isn't consciousness. The government is controlled by consciousness. So if you go down the realm of inanimate object to corporation to people who actually run this corporation, then you understand if you follow the trail, it leads to people. Now, you don't want to pledge allegiance to a rock, just like you don't want to pledge allegiance to somebody that you don't even know. And to justify that you're part of the crowd, people do. So, at a very young age, let's say you're 5 years old, you go to kindergarten, you pledge allegiance to the flag. You put your hand on your heart, and you surrender yourself at a very young age, because you're pretty much told to do this every morning before school or as school starts. Pledge allegiance to the flag. Meaning, what comes first in life? Doesn't matter what your religious beliefs are or whatever. What comes first? Your nation. You should be ready to die for your damn nation. Wonder why they call it damnation? Because it's your damnation that's damning you. So, you pledge allegiance to a flag, you surrender yourself to people that you don't even understand. You hear these words, you're using the witchcraft type phrases, the chanting of every morning. It's like a prayer, it's like witchcraft. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, for liberty or justice for all, whatever it is, right? I don't agree with the pledge, and I don't agree with people telling their children or other people's children to surrender themselves to the corporate government for which it stands, giving it the power, the morale, the opportunity to become very, very powerful, vigorous, deadly, powerful government that it is today. There's a lot of cops out today. Jeez. Is it the end of the month? No, it's in the middle of the month. Alright, so that bothers me, and if it doesn't bother you, I don't know why. So let's dive into the things we're taught about. So we're taught things, right? And we're expected to believe them. And you're taught these things at a very young age. One thing is being obedient to the government. Which when you're a kid, you don't even realize what you're doing, but with all the chanting and all the intention behind it and all the every day saying this pledge, well, what are you doing? You're surrendering yourself, making sure that you are not powerful enough and when you're doing the public schooling thing at a young age, you are surrendering yourself to the state, to government, to higher power that you don't even know who it is. All you know is perhaps the President of the United States, which has nothing to do with the government. Really doesn't. So when you're looking at your child pledging allegiance to something that you don't agree with because it is blind worshiping the state, you should have a red flag go off, some light bulb, something go off. Hey, that's not right. My child shouldn't be surrendering themselves to the state, because what they're doing is they're being brought up by the state and television and other things, and they're not going to respect you as a parent because they've already surrendered to the state. They've already given their power to the state, and they believe that what the government's doing is right all the time, no matter what, the moral high ground, the ethical government, because they've already been fed lies about the government, that they're good, etc., and that they have to represent the government. So if the government needs money, you need to give it to them. That's what socialism is. And I know socialism sounds great. Equality. Equal income in the long run thing. Which shouldn't be. Because what socialism is a strong government controlling every aspect of the person. And at a very young age, you're susceptible to this. And then you're brought up into this ideology, which is very tough to get out of your head and to change. The reason being is because you're young and you're being programmed, especially between the ages of like 11 and like 16. You're most susceptible for long-term beliefs around these ages. Just proven facts. I mean, look this shit up if you want. So, going into socialism again, think of it like, I heard this from Stefan Molyneux. I just started becoming a fan again of him. And he said that socialism is like if you were playing a game of Monopoly. And when you're playing this game of Monopoly, instead of you all starting at $1,500, because some people are dumber than others, the dumber people need to start with more money, because we all have to end up at around the same thing, right? So if the dumber people end up with more money to start, and start farther up on the board, and the smarter people aren't allowed to, get hotels on their buildings or whatever, right? Every aspect has to be controlled in order for equality. And this is just a simple board game between, let's say, 4 people, right? 4 people, in order to make it even, you have to do a lot of editing. Everything that, if you roll snake eyes and you land on the smarter person's hotel and you're about to get out, well, the smarter person has to give you a pass in order to keep you going. So there's just a million things you have to do just in the game of Monopoly to make it an equal playing field for the outcome. Now think of it in something very, very complex, such as economy. The economy is very complex. In order to get everyone at the same outcome, there's a lot of things they have to do with personal, people, businesses. There's so much factors to be in play. Different financing rates for certain people, and different loan rates, and different this, that, and the third, different tax brackets, all to make it equal. And then if you're up a little bit, you got to go down a little bit, and every moment of your life has to be influenced by government in order to make you even with the next person. think of it as in school. There's this, I forgot what the program's called, but in school these days, in modern public education, there's such thing as giving certain people, smarter people, less of a grade. So let's say Asian people and let's say black people. So a black and an Asian are going for their SATs, so they can get good scores, so they can get into a specific college. Well, Asians, because they're naturally so smart, what colleges do is they lower the grade that the Asian guy or woman gets on their SATs. They lower the grade just because that person's naturally gifted. And the black people are generally lower IQ. This is all facts. Don't act like I'm racist or something because I'm bringing up races. But this is what colleges do. Colleges will raise the grade of the African American. If the African American gets 1,100, well, boom, now they're at 1,300, like a genius. The Asian gets 1,500, boom, down to 1,300. So this genius of an Asian, right? Genius Asian gets lowered to the average IQ rate into college and gets treated the same way as somebody with less IQ. That's what socialism is. And that's what's happening to our country. And it all starts with government control. And we're allowing it to happen. So think of it like this. If you are a lawyer, you went to college for 5 years, law school or whatever it is, 5 years or whatever, I don't know how long it takes to become a lawyer. And let's say in the modern capitalistic world, a lawyer would make $2,000 a week, right? It's probably even more in a lot of cases, but let's just say $2,000 a week. Working hard, overtime, many clients, let's say, and went and did tons of study to get to that point. They're in debt because of school. They went that route with all the education, all the training, all the... Man, why do they make Swift trucks so slow? With all the training, education, and everything, a lawyer makes $2,000. Let's say high school kid, 16 years old, decides to work at Burger King. And the starting wage for him was $8 an hour. Let's say he works part-time, he makes $150 a week, right? He just does it for a few hours after school for a few days a week. Let's say he makes $150 a week. Well, what socialism does is this kid who's just having a side thing is going to make the same amount as this person who's a lawyer, who spent time, money, resources, and etc. to get to the point of his life. And this lawyer, let's say, is 40 IQ points above the other guy. Let's say the lawyer has 120 IQ. The person working at Burger King, the teenager who's just doing it for a little side money, is 80 IQ. Well, what gives the less working high school kid the same amount of money as this lawyer who's been doing it for years and progressing through his life and deserves higher wages because of all the heavy work that he's doing and his intelligence that brought him there? So his talent, intelligence, etc., his hard work, everything that this lawyer has done has put him to a point where he's making some really freaking good money. Why does this high school kid deserve to make as much as him? Well, that's what socialism is. That means that this kid who shows up late to work at Burger King for a few hours a week should be making as much as that lawyer. That's what socialism is. Because the kid is not as smart, and because of all the garbage that they're infiltrating in your brain in terms of equality, everybody's got to be equal. No, you put in the work and you get rewarded. It used to be once upon a time, people of higher intelligence had more money, had more resources. And it was the slower people that would not receive higher wages and higher resources because they were incapable of starting up their own business successfully or whatever, right? And it used to be the higher IQ would go to college. Now it's anybody can go to college for any reason. It's becoming very social. The construct of our social society today is all bringing us back to when we were pledging allegiance to the government, knowing or thinking that the government knows what's best for you. They're the moral high ground. They're looking out for your best interest. But here's the secret, guys. Government has never done something positive for the people. Ever. Never, ever. Not one instance, not for one moment. The government has never done anything for your best interest. They've only done things for their interests. They're not keeping you safe with police, right? They're not. Because A, they are not the police. And B, they're only giving a freaking fraction of your money to the police that were stolen from you. Just like the Mafia. So the Mafia sends goons to your house because somebody else was going to rob you. And the Mafia wanted that money, right? They didn't want you robbed. So they protected you in order to continue stealing from you. Whoa! Mind blow for you freaking statists. Government has never done anything for your best interest. They brainwashed you to believe that they're doing something according to your best interests. However, they couldn't be farther from the truth. Because if they were looking out for your best interest, they wouldn't be stealing from you. They wouldn't be taking 40% of your money. They wouldn't. If they were looking out for your best interest, they would not be taking 40% of your money. Now you could argue, well, dude, they have to take your money because we need roads, because there's poor people. Well, that's what they brainwash you to think. What socialism has done was not make the middle class more powerful and big and the majority. What they've done is canceled out prosperity. Because in capitalism, there's the potential of prosperity. Everyone has an equal chance at the start in capitalism. Everyone. I don't give a fuck if you're in the ghetto and you haven't made a dime in your life and your parents never made a dime. They've given you the same opportunity to start with than, let's say, the rich Asian kid, right? They've given you the same opportunity. Same. You're able to go to public schooling. You have access to a library in your area. You have the ability to do things. And it might be a little more difficult. We all have trials and tribulations, to put it mildly. But we all have the same opportunity to start in capitalism. Like in Monopoly, everyone starts with $1,500, and then it's your talent, your education, it's everything. Your intelligence, it's your ambitions, it's your intention to how you want to go about your life, right? So in capitalism, you start the same. In socialism, you never start the same, and they pretend to make equality. Everyone starts separately in socialism. If you're a quote-unquote minority, you start off with more money. You get more money. You're allowed to get more benefits and whatever, right? But if you, for example, I'm just going to give you an example because we are living in a socialist nation. I was I've said this before. I used to be on drugs back when I was 20. And I was a couch surfer at the time. I had no money. But I was heavily addicted to a specific drug I don't want to talk about. And I was living in the ghetto. And I go up to the welfare place, or whatever, to get EBT so I can get some food because I was really starving. And I told them I didn't have a drug problem. And but I did tell them that I wasn't living anywhere. And I was a couch surfer / sleeping in the streets. And they told me, well, you are white without a drug problem, and I'm not being this racial bullshit going on. I'm just telling you the truth. They said specifically, she said specifically, because I am white and because I don't have a drug problem, that I was not allowed to get benefits. And this was back when I was 20. This was over 10 years ago. And she said, well, there's that soup and kitchen place where you can get some free soup and stuff. They'll let you go there, and you can get some food once in a while. Like every week, you can get like $50 of food. And I was like, okay, so I ended up doing that. But at the same time, the government was not going to let me or give me any type of resources to survive. So, give you an example. We all start at the same opportunity. We all came from the gutter, unless you were one of the very few top 5%ers that didn't come from the gutter. We all did. Doesn't matter what your race or your IQ is. Doesn't matter. We all started equally, like in capitalism, but now they're switching it over to government control. So let's go back to the game of Monopoly and all that government control that you had to do in order so everybody ends up with the same amount of money after 20 days of playing Monopoly. Imagine, just 20 days of playing Monopoly, how much you had to control on a 4-person game to make sure no one got out, no one got the short stick, and nobody got the bigger stick, right? Imagine how much you had to manipulate in order to make that happen. Oh, you have all 4 railroads? Well, you have to give one to this guy because that's just OP. That's overpowered. That's too strong. Because this is about equality. Equality is all about somebody with higher ambition, somebody with higher IQ, giving up their hard work for somebody who doesn't have the talent, doesn't have the IQ, doesn't have the ambition, to go out and make some resources on their own to protect and save their family. They don't give a fuck about their family, obviously, because even if you're 70 IQ, you can flip burgers. It doesn't take a lot of IQ. You can do whatever it takes in order to make your family prosperous. But what socialism has done, and because of your pledge allegiance at a very young age, in order to just trust the government in your socialism and everything that they've ever put down the media about equality and garbage like that, has manipulated you to not ever become prosperous. Because when you are prosperous, they just give it to somebody who has less ambition or less talent or less goals, less care. Now, I'm not going to dive into like handicapped people and stuff like that, because clearly there are people that need help and their family. Now, once upon a time, I'm going to tell you the straight out truth, and I believe this is how it should be. Once upon a time, the reason why the family was so strong is because there wasn't as much government intervention. Women didn't just leave, right? And take the kids, because they needed resources. They needed a man. Watch my video on devaluing men. It's one of my favorite videos I've done. Now, they can just leave and still get resources from the government, so the government replaces the man in the household. Now, think of it like this. If you're old, and let's say you didn't have the best relationship with your children, well, you get old, alone, and pretty much just not being taken care of, and you pretty much die. So it gave you incentive as a parent to treat your kids freaking phenomenally, treat them good, be close to them, be a part of their lives. Because when you get older, your children are going to have to take care of you, right? But not nowadays. Now we have old folks' homes, we have retirement stuff, and we have all these government programs that take care of nursing homes and all this shit to take care of old people, so they don't even have to treat their kids right their whole lives, and so then they can get something in return. Same thing with the girlfriend or wife. Sorry, coffee burp. The wife that leaves and ends up getting government money to take care of. So the government takes care of the shitty people in life. How about the good people? How about the prosperous, ambitious people? How about the real fathers that take care of their fucking family? How about those motherfuckers? Nah, we're gonna steal from those motherfuckers. We're gonna steal every fucking damn penny that they got, and we're gonna give it to these not ambitious, not prosperous, not caring people. These evil motherfuckers, we're gonna give them motherfucking money. Think about it. That's what's going on. And it bothers me because what am I doing? I'm trying to be the good guy. I'm trying to take care of family and myself and my future and my children's future. That's what I'm trying to do. Nope. Fucking Mafia taking 40% of my paycheck, and then after they take 40% of my paycheck, everything I pay for is taxed. And they're just stealing my money, giving me more laws. More laws. I'm on paper logs right now, and they want to put me on electronic logs by like November or December or whatever. New laws, more regulations, more socialism. No. That's saying fuck you to prosperity. And giving and making more people poorer and poorer and poorer. There's more poor people nowadays than ever in United States history. Ever. People are poorer now. And I'm not talking about necessarily the individual, but the collective. Collectively, we are poor. Collectively, there's more poorer people, and the rich people are fewer, but they're getting richer than ever before. In the middle class, there's people in the middle class, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of them still. But it is shrinking. And you can see this. Just go outside. Look at what middle class people, look for the middle class people. Where are they? Go to the suburbs. You have to literally go to specific neighborhoods in the suburbs to find somebody that makes $100K a year. Because you ain't finding that shit in the ghetto or the majority of the suburbs. Because they're all poor. And then the rich people are out in the freaking, like, in the cut of, like, rich places in your cities or whatever, outskirts of the cities. This video is going to turn off any second now, so I want to say my last things, I guess, because I could go on forever.